Well, hello and good day, people of the internet. My name is Cubie, and we're going to be mapping today. There's two things you're going to need. You're going to need the streamer plugin. If you don't know how to use plugins and includes, there's a video on that. Just look up all the scripting videos. And you'll need the San Andreas map editor. I'll put a link to this in the description. How you install this, you just plug everything that is in that file into your GTA San Andreas root file. And then you will be good to go. You can just open the editor. Load in whatever you want. We'll go into that into the video. These are the two things you need for this mapping. Mapping is not that difficult, so I'm gonna put this one at nerd level 1.5, maybe even 1. It's really not that difficult. Everybody can follow along with this. And yes, there is filter scripts that you can use, that you can map things in game, and those are great, and I can recommend those. However, I'm gonna be showing you how to map in this program because I just prefer how this one works. But you'll see everything in the video. It's not too long of a video. You can skip along. There will be in the description, there will be timestamps on where we go into mapping, texturing, removing buildings, and what was it? Oh yeah, adding text to your mapping. It's not too difficult. I hope you can enjoy this video, and let's get right into it.
Disclaimer, I am not a professional scripter. I could be doing things wrong. If you see me doing something wrong, please let me know in the comments below. I do this because I think it's fun. Thank you.
Alright. The first thing we're going to do are the basics of mapping. What you need for this is the San Andreas map editor, which I already told you have to install and see if it works. You have two options in this. You can load it just like this, or you can load it with collisions. I normally just load with collisions just for the reason that, I don't know, both works. If it comes to mapping, you can choose whatever you want. In this program, there's multiple things to do. As you see in the on top, you have import PWN, import paste, show code, undo, clear all, insert object, duplicate, delete, and test. If you press test, you will load into game where your camera is, with everything you mapped being there. It's one way to see how your mapping works, or is, and I normally don't use it that way because that takes forever, and mapping in a server, like we're gonna do, is a lot easier. We have import PWN. Let me quickly show you what that is. On the right side here, we have views, objects, and movements. On the views, you can just save basic views. For instance, I have Blueberry SDHQ saved as a location. How can you save a location? It's very simple. You just go wherever you want. You press the add key, and on the bottom, it will appear as unnamed view. You can rename it. Let's say BB River, as this is Blueberry and that's a river. If we then are somewhere else and we just double click on BB River, we will be back here. It's neat. It's neat, and yeah, it's just very useful. But we were at BB SDHQ because I was going to show you what the import PWN is. This will open up a window, and this is a folder with all the mappings I have made. Let me see if I can find the Blueberry. It should be somewhere here. SDHQ, yeah, there it is, I think. If you just select any mapping, it will appear in this menu or in this program. You can check out the mapping by pressing test, or what we are going to do, we're going to go into a server and we are going to use the show code button. Make sure you press create dynamic object. As I said, you have to install the streamer plugin that lets you make dynamic objects, and dynamic objects are there because if you use the normal create object, this basically has a limit for like 300 objects, I believe, maximum, something like that. And create dynamic object does not have a limit, and you can create whatever you want and how much you want. Well, this is the BBHQ. We're not going to be using this, so we're going to clear all. Clear all just removes all the mapping, and you can do whatever you want. We are going to continue on the good arena mapping. So let me quickly import that mapping right here. This is a mapping I made that can be found on my server, and we're going to continue on this mapping in this video. And we're going to start out with basic mapping, which means this is all untextured. We will cover the texturing later on in this video. The basics, let me turn that off real quick. I don't know if you heard it, but whatever. The basics of mapping is just placing objects and also moving objects around. To do that, I am going to quickly go to whatever BB SCHQ, nice open space. To import a object in SAMP, because there's like 19,000 objects, there's two options. You can go into the Objects tab and go to Add, type for whatever you want. Let's say you want a house. Well, then you'll have well, that's more of a shack. But you'll have all kind of houses, and if you want to import this, you can copy paste the IDE number down here. What you then do is click wherever you want it to appear. Let's say I want to appear it there, just click it, insert object, copy and paste the IDE number, basically the object ID, and it will be there. There's now two options. You can move the building around with your left mouse button. Holding it will move the building around. If you hold your middle mouse button, you can make it go up and down. And if you hold Control and then your left mouse button, you can rotate it. You can also do this in the movement tab up here. You can move it on the X coordinations, you can move it on the Y coordinations, and you can use it on the Z coordinations. To rotate it, same principle. You can rotate it like, well, all ways you wish to rotate an object. You can also, by the way, hold Control and middle mouse button. This will put it on like a pivot. I think mapping like this is really awkward, and I never ever map like this. But it's something you can do if you like it. But let's go into some simple map. I deleted it by just pressing delete, by the way. You can also press Ctrl Z or click undo, and it will undo whatever you just did. It's neat and it's useful. That's the basics of mapping. But searching up objects in the object ID thing over here, add. It is useful to add objects to this list. For instance, an object that I use very often is this wall, this piece of grass. And I use this plant, for instance, a lot. How to add something like that? You just go into your available objects list. And let's say I want this barn to be in my list. Well, very simple. You just press add and you scroll all the way down. And it'll be right there, farmhouse. It's an easy way to have some objects that you use very often just simply here. Because if you just have an object selected here, you press just insert object. It will automatically put the ID in the window you get here. You press OK and it'll be there. It's nice and neat. I personally don't really use these two options that much. I normally just go to the interwebs and go to this website. It's if you just Google SAMP object IDs, it will be the first website that shows up, but I will also put it in the description for you guys. This website is very easy to work with because it has all the objects and it has them all named. So, and it also has them all categorized. For instance, you want food, you just click food and all the food will appear. You want light, you press light and all the lights will appear. And you also have like modular stuff. You have things that have been added to SAMP in the development, like road signs. This was not in SAMP when it was released, but it's there now. You can get the objects ID here very easily. Let's say you want a wall. You want this wall, you just copy the model number and you paste it with the same way you did when you found a object model here. Mapping an item like this, mapping a building with walls like this, you can do in multiple ways. You can duplicate this item and then you could go like boop, duplicate it again, boop, and then duplicate it again, boop. And then you'll probably be like, wow, that really looks like shit. That's why I never recommend just mapping with your mouse. What I recommend is you just grab an object. You set it at the coordinations you want it to be. I'll set it at 0, 0, 0, 0. So it's easy for me to edit all this stuff. What I normally do is just I duplicate it. I rotate it 90 degrees. This is, for instance, if I want to make a square. I just zoom in on it. If you hold Shift and WASD, you can move around a bit finer. What I normally do is I just put it right next to it, and then I use all these nudge tools to put it into place. For instance, that's not quite there, but let's say we put it at 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 8, 1, 9, 1, 6. Well, 1, 6 is about right. And you'll see it now is nice and aligned and it is square. And that's basically how you map things like this. However, we're going to continue with mapping at the, where is it? Arena, as I showed you guys. This is an arena I made. And for instance, I want this in my server, which I actually have, which something I'll show you right now. Let me just launch the server real quick. And boom, logging in, select your character. This is literally what you saw in the program, but as you see, this is all textured, and this looks quite a bit different from what we have seen in the program. Texturing we'll go into a bit. I'm first going to show you how to get some mapping that you just made within the San Andreas map editor into your server, because it's not as simple as click, click, click. You actually have to make a couple of things. What I'm going to do is I am going to make a new script. So we're going to go into Pano. We're going to make a new script. We're going to select everything. You can do this by typing Control A, and we're removing everything. We are going to include the basic samp include a_samp, and we are going to include the streamer that I told you to install, and we're just going to compile it and see if everything. Oh yeah, it needs a name. I'm going to call it custom2. That is because I already have one named custom. One error, can I read from file streamer? No, steamer, my bad. Streamer, boom. If it compiles, everything works. What you then want is a new public. It is called onFilter script initiation, init, bracket, and return it. Or actually, return it. Boom. How I normally script is I tab this so it looks nice and neat. With mapping, with scripting, with putting mappings into a script. Yes, I never do that because I'll show you real quick. If I open this code, I show the code, I make sure I use create dynamic objects, and I copy, for instance, this, and I want to put it into my script right here. It'll all be like on the edge of the script. And if I would, for instance, do this and I would compile it, I'll get a warning that there's a loose indentation, and I'll have to do like everything to each line. It's not that big of a chore. If you want to make your script look neat, go ahead and do it. You can do it easily. It just takes a lot of time, especially if your scripts get very huge like this one. You can kind of see why I do not tab all the objects. But let's say we have our script, we compile it and everything works fine, and we want to add an object to our mapping. This mapping, for instance, is what you saw in game, and maybe want to add a tree there. How would I do that? I would go to the website, I would just type in tree. I'd be like, nah, Christmas tree is not really what I want. Nah, that's a bit dead. I want like a palm tree. Maybe palm tree. See if there's anything there. Can I see a palm tree? I know there's palm trees. Now I just have to find it. That's a palm tree, but I kind of want a different palm tree. That's a palm tree. Ah, fuck it. We'll just use this one. ID 620, you just copy it. Go into mapping. Insert object 620, and boom, there's a palm tree. Just place it wherever you want. Middle mouse button, left mouse button. Control left mouse button, and we have a tree here. Let's say we want to add this tree to our mapping. Very easy. You just show your code. You scroll all the way down, because the latest object you have just added into your mapping will always be at the bottom. You see the ID 620, you'll see the coordinations, and you'll see the rotation. What you do is you just copy it. You go into your script. You put it under the unfiltered script initiation. Create dynamic object 620, the coordinations, the rotation. You just compile it, and boom, there it is. What we're now going to do, we are going to be heading to our server. For you guys, that might be a folder on your desktop that will say whatever, your server's name. I used to have a server in a folder on Windows. I showed you guys in the previous episodes. As I also said in the last episode, I am now using a VPS, which means this is now basically my server folder, and everything works a bit different for me, but everything you do in your server folder is the same as I do in this folder. So just follow along with these steps. You have your filter script here. We named it custom2. You can name it whatever you want, and we want to load that filter script. We only put in the AMX file. You could put on the PWN, but it's not necessary. The PWN is only so you can actually open it here. And the AMX file is actually the script your server needs. Put it into your filter scripts and just go into your game. Log into your RCON. RCON login, and then your password. This password will be blurred for you guys, but it won't be for me. Oops, bad one. There we go. What you then do, RCON, and then load FS, load filter script is what it says, and then just the name of your filter script. So custom 2 for my instance. And there it is. There's your palm tree. Now, for instance, you don't like where this palm tree is, and you're like, kind of want to move it. Very easy. Just go into your mapping tool again, and grab your palm tree, and let's say you want to put it there. Show code, go all the way to the bottom, where the same object is, 620, the coordinations rotation. Copy it, go into your filter script, replace the line you have just added, compile it, go back, go to your server folder, put in your AMX file, go in game, and just RCON reload FS. So reload the filter script, custom 2. It unloads the filter script and loads the filter script, and there you go, your tree is now at a different position. If you want to add more objects, it's just more of the same. Let's say I want to add another object, I duplicate this one, and I want to add another tree there. Show your code, and all the way at the bottom, the new tree will be there. Create dynamic object 620 coordinations rotation. Copy it, go into your filter script, paste it, compile it, go to your server folder, replace the filter script, go in game, RCON reload FS filter script's name, and now there's 2 trees. These are the basic principles of any mapping. You just copy the code, put it in your filter script under the unfiltered script initiation, load the filtered script, and your mapping will be there. It is that easy. For instance, if I want to add one of my other mappings, let's save this mapping. It's very easy to save a mapping. You just go into show code, you export PWN, you give it a name, arena mapping, and save it. And now it's saved, it'll scroll through everything, and you'll be able to open this mapping again. If I clear all this, and I then import arena mapping, everything will be there again. I'm just gonna clear all, and I actually have to see, because I don't think I have a mapping in LS. Or do I? FD, well, FD market is pretty, well, this is a bad example, because this is where you have to remove buildings, which I'll go into a bit. I don't think I have any mapping that is like down here. Huh. Well, whatever. We'll just, I'll go into that into a minute, because removing buildings is also an option you can do. Let's say you want this building gone, delete. You'll see in your show code, you'll see something new, remove building for player ID, and then the object ID and the location of said object. This is a bit different. It won't work if you just put this into your unfiltered script initiation. It won't work because this is made for every single player. So this is something you have to add on the player connect. So if, for instance, I go into the script of my server, let me just open up that script real quick. Cop system, I think it's in. There it is. Cubie PWN. Let's say I want to remove that building. Then I want on the on-player connect, I want to remove building for player ID, compile the thing, make it compile. Let me quickly go into this. Let me go into my game modes, replace the game mode. I've shown how to do all this in the previous episode, so if you're not following along, don't worry, there are episodes out there that will help you. RCON GMX, just restarting the server is what I'm doing. And then if we go to LS, there will probably not be a building there anymore. And there we go. Pick a skin. Go to ls. And as you see, the building is now gone. This is useful if you want to map something new on this position. This building will be gone. It's not there, as you see. If you can just go through the building and go underneath the map. I'm dead. That's sad. But that's the basics of removing buildings and placing new items. The next thing we're gonna go into is texturing items, and I'll be back with you in a little minute. Or actually, for you guys, it's just a cut. Okay, so we're back, and you want to map something with a texture on it. Let's say you really like this wall, but you really don't like the texture on it. Well, that's easily fixed because there is a possibility to texture objects in SAMP, which is really awesome, and it is what lets you make things like this. Because this looks awful in the San Andreas map editor with all the concrete walls, but as you see, it looks quite pretty, if you ask me. How are we doing this? Well, it's quite simple. There's another website. I will also link in the description. If you type in Google SAMP textures, you'll also get this website. This is the first one there. But this has every single texture that exists in SAMP. There's other ways to get textures, but this is, believe me, the easiest. There's a top list of textures that are used a lot. For instance, this white texture is basically used everywhere on every server. And there's multiple textures here that you will probably recognize from different servers. How are we gonna make this texture appear on a object? Well, we're just gonna go into it. Let's say we want to add this brick texture to another to the wall I just showed you. Let's just do that. Go into your San Andreas map editor. Let me just clear all. Let me load my arena again. Let me go to the arena. No, I need to go to this arena. And let's just put the wall right there for our ease. There it is. There's your wall. You should know how to do all this by now. There's your wall. We go into the code, we show the code, and it will appear at the bottom. We copy paste the code. We go into our script. Where is it? There. We put it in, and we can just continue, right? That's it. No, it's not that easy. What I normally do is I just make the creation of the object a new value. Let's say I'm just gonna call it wall. New wall equals create dynamic object. Object ID, coordinations, rotation. What this does, it tells your script that wall equals this. So now you can use wall as a value in the next piece of code that we're going to be using. Because if we go back to the SAMP textures and you see the pawn code, set object material, create dynamic, create object, and then this, what you could technically do is you could paste this. And then you could paste this line in here. Boop. The only thing you have to do is this is a set object material. You just have to add dynamic object material. You could do this and just compile it, and most of the time things work, but I forgot to remove that. So boom. It also says the value wall has never been used, blah, 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 blah. This is something you could do, and this will work for texturing the wall that I've just placed. But this, of course, looks messy and is not that, it just isn't great. So we made a value for this, which is wall. So we're just going to set dynamic object material to wall to this object, the object we have just made. No errors because wall is now used and it is not an unused value in the script. So what we did, we made a new value. The value is the object we made with the object ID rotation, location, rotation. And we set the object dynamic object material wall to the texture we have just selected here. This can be whatever. Let's say you want it to be this texture. You just show code. You could copy paste the entire thing again. What I normally do is just copy paste everything after the 0. So copy and go into your Pano script and paste that. Now it will be that texture. But let's first just try this. Compile the script. Put it into your filter scripts again. Bada bing, bada boom. Filter scripts. Custom 2. Put it in there. Go in game. and reload your filter script. Reload fs custom 2. It's unloaded and loaded again. And if you now go to set wall, you will see it is now textured. It's really that easy. It is just mainly a lot of work to just find a texture you like, a texture that looks good, a texture that works well with something else. But there's also one other thing with textures that is pretty cool, and not a lot of people use it, but it's quite cool. This police station, for instance, if we go back to our mapping program, you will notice that this police station is not just mapped by walls and everything. It is mapped, it's just a building. That is because each building, if you double click the item, you will see, you'll get this window. And this has all the info you need for said building. And you will see that there's multiple materials on this building. If we go, for instance, actually, I could make an example. If we just get in building real quick. What's a good one? This one will probably work. Boom. Go into your mapping editor, import the thing. Boom, building there. Double click it. Just check. Yeah, it has different textures. All right. What you see here, you see material 0, 1, 2, and 3. How this means that, for instance, material 1 are the walls, material 2 are the textures on the roof, and material 3 are maybe this door. I don't know. It's quite of a guessing game, because we can set each texture for each different material that is used on the on this texture. So let's just get this code, show code, copy paste the bottom one, go into your Pano. We're gonna set the value. Let's do building equals create dynamic object. Set dynamic object material. Boom. Let's just copy paste that one. Replace this with building, of course. And now is where things get a bit different. Let's say we want material 0 to be, let's just grab the texture. Let's say we want material 0 to be this wooden texture. Just copy everything behind the 0. Copy it, go into your Pano. Paste everything behind the 0. Let's say we want, however, let's just copy paste this line. We want material 1. So go into your map texture, material 1, which is called new wall seamless. It's probably the walls then. We want to change that value, as that texture as well. You just change the 0 to a 1. You grab a texture that you like. Let's say we want this texture to be there. Paste everything after the 0. So not the 0 itself this time, because that determines the material value. Paste it. And we have one more material left, as you can see in the San Andreas mapping editor. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's actually 2 materials left. Well, let's just make only one for 2 then. Let's say we want that to be this green screen over here. Copy everything after the 0. Go back into your script. Paste everything after the 1 and replace the 1 with a 2. Compile the script. Once again, put it into your filter scripts. And reload said filter scripts. Boom. Unloaded and loaded. And as you see, it looks really fucking bad. But as you see, every single material that was, or texture that was on this building is now, oh, that's right, you can't use your jetpack here, we're way too high up. Every single material here is now set to something else. This is how you just texture buildings themselves and change every single material. This is, to be honest, a way to make way better mappings than to just place walls and just put this, because you could technically, if you really try hard, you could make this building with just walls and concrete, but that will be a lot of work and a lot of objects, and that building right there is just one object. And yeah, it's that simple. Also, if you might have questioned the concrete walls that were in my map editor and are not here, those are invisible walls. How you make those is very easy. Just go into your script and set everything where it says texture, set it to none. So literally set it to like none, and that will make you a invisible texture. That is texturing. And now we're gonna go on to the final thing, which is text. And I'll see you guys in a second when it comes to text. It's very simple, trust me. All right, so when it comes to making text, like I can show you in game, as you see, it says police station up there, and it says cop chase up there. It is very simple, and my trick is just use one object per word. And the object that I normally use is this poster. I think it is it's a good size for main text, and I'll show you just how this works right now. The object ID for this object is 19,327. Let's say we're just gonna put it on this building for now. It can be a bit finicky to find the object because it is invisible on one side and on the other side it is visible. So just float around your mapping thing, the mapping program, and you will probably find it. And if not, there are other objects that you can use. You can put text on every single object. You could technically put text on this building. However, it would look really, really odd. But it is certainly possible. You can put text on everything. But let's say this object, what do we do again? We go to show code. We go to the bottom line. We copy it and we paste it into our Pono. We're also gonna name this. So let's call it sign. Sign equals create dynamic object. Now we're gonna use something like we're just gonna use set dynamic object material and then text. We're gonna set it for, of course, sign. The material index, we're just gonna put at 0, which is the ID of set texture. Because we're using a sign, the only material index that is there is the sign texture itself. You can see all this. This is really neat. I have actually never seen it before, but that's fine. It's cool, I guess. This is where you put whatever you wanted to say. Let's say I want to say it Cubie. Next one, the material size, I normally just put at 20. It's finicky. Just try it. This creates how big your text is and how small your text is. For the sign I am using, or the poster I'm using, 20 is a great size for that. But if something doesn't look right, just try finicking with the size of the text, and maybe then things will look a lot better. Then we just use the font face. Most people just use Arial. And what we then do is the font size. I normally just use 24. It's the default font size. We can make it bold. We can make it unbold. I normally make things bold because I just like the way that looks. Font color. You can color it whatever you want. I normally just -1 because default color. Black color just 0. And then also the text alignment, we have put it at 01. Boom, boom, boom. If you just copy paste what I just made here, you'll get something nice. You can just finick around with the values. Like I told all you guys in previous videos, if you want to learn more about just set dynamic object material, just paste it into Google, put the word SAMP behind it, and the wiki will appear, and there will be everything you need to know there. Compile the script, put it into your filter scripts. Boom. Go in game. And RCON reload fs custom 2. And as you see, there is now text saying Cubie. It is that easy, yes. I think that is everything when it comes down to mapping. Mapping is not difficult, it just takes a lot of time. The key to a good mapping is, if you ask me, just taking the time and putting in the detail. And yeah, it's not that difficult. One more thing about this server, what you might see. This is all here, and there is a working playable cop chase game mode. There's also shop, and there's also cop chase, where you can select a vehicle that you want to play with. Those vehicles you can buy in the shop with your score. The score system is not there yet, as I'm at the moment I'm recording this video. It might be there in the future. However, if you want to play some cop chase, you'll just be given a cop car LA, or a, what is it? I think it is Admiral that you get as a criminal. Or Tahoma, I think it is. Whatever. It is playable. You just need two players, and you can play that all you want. This server, the IP will be in the description, where you can look around this mapping, where you can admire the mapping, and where you can just go have a wander around this mapping. Just look at what we made. Of course, I'll remove this because it looks pretty. Doesn't look pretty. Let me actually unload FS custom 2. Boom, it's gone. Don't like it. Well, that's mapping. This server, you can join. The IP is in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you want, for instance, your filter script to load when your server launches, go into your server.cfg and just in your filter scripts, you see there's custom. Just type custom, the name of your filter script. For instance, my filter script is called custom 2. If you want to change your filter script, let's say your filter script is called mapping, you put mapping here. That's how you just load your filter script in when you restart your entire server, so you don't have to log into the RCON and then load the filter script. But that's everything that you need to know about mapping. I hope I was clear enough. It is really not that difficult, it just takes a lot of time. And yes, like I said, there is also filter scripts that help you map in-game. They can be really good, and they can be a lot easier than the SA map editor. I personally just prefer the SA map editor, and if you like in-game filter scripts, use those. I'm not telling you to use anything you don't want to use here. So, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name was Cubie. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a like as well. Maybe. We'll see. It'd be nice. If you want to see more of this, of course, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.